Okay. Good morning, good evening, everybody. I'm with D20 Man, and she has a wonderful group called Gutsy Women today. So, Dean, Gutsy Women. What do you mean by Gutsy Women?
Well, Gutsy Women, yeah, Gutsy Women for me is all around. The group was started because I had suffered a long time with gut issues and other chronic conditions that stem from having a bit of a dodgy gut, basically.
Mm,
And I've been having problems with my gut ever since I was a child. And right up until my mid 30s, actually, it didn't really fully go away. And I just was struggling most of my life with gut issues, IBS, and then the fatigue that came with that, and then the chronic migraines that stem from that, and missing days off work, and not being able to focus on my family properly, and all of that kind of stuff. So it was really not a good time. And then I found a way around what was going on with me, and looking at other people that had the same problems. And it all stemmed from stress, anxiety, the level of control we feel we've got over our lives. And, sometimes feeling overly responsible for other people as well. And, for their happiness, and putting yourself second, and all of those kinds of things that we all tend to do, from time to time. Let's face it, we get told that, think of other people, but then we don't realize that we have to think of ourselves as well, and we forget about
yep.
ourselves, don't we? So um and so that message didn't go in as clearly as it should have done. It's like, you are one of these other people, so you have to do that. So I set the group up recently to help women understand that the mind controls the symptoms within your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your belief system. The body collects that information and it stores it in your cells. And depending on who you are, your individual circumstances, and your personality, then those emotions and thoughts will be stored in different parts of your body. So some people will get chronic fatigue, some people will get arthritis, some people will get back problems, some people will get gut issues, some people will get sleep problems, and all of that kind of thing. So the Gutsy Women stands for health, strength, and empowerment,
Brilliant.
and to regain it, and to be gutsy enough to take the leap to do
Yeah.
that, because we need to do things that we've probably not done before, look at things in a different way that we've not done before, and to actually admit our part in it, because it's our thoughts. Nobody thinks our thoughts, nobody feels our feelings, it's us. So that's what the Gutsy Women is. It's a play on words, as well as really focusing on having a really healthy
Yeah.
gut that affects inflammation in the body. Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And about taking back control and being responsible for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Who
it.
in,
That's the whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Who inspires you? What women inspire you? Is there any women out there who inspire you to keep going on, to keep exploring this and to keep finding out, who am I and what am I all about, and how can I increase my health
Mm.
and take back control.
Mm. Well, my mum always inspired me, because my mum was very stoic as well. She was very much a just keep going, stop whining. Don't do that. She was very kind of very straight, no, no flowery language or anything like that. My mum just said it as it was. I picked that up from her as well. Um, and I was born and brought up in a Yorkshire town in Leeds in Yorkshire in England, and we are very direct. We don't beat about the bush and that kind of thing. So yeah, my language can be very direct sometimes, but at least, somebody, my niece once said to me, she goes, Auntie D, at least we know where we stand when when you say something. There's no mistaking, what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So my mum was very much like that, and she always inspired me, because I watched how her life was a bit of a struggle. She had three children, very close to each other. she had to go out to work. There wasn't enough money coming in. My dad was injured at work. My dad was Polish. It was back in the 50s, and he was still classed as an alien in the country. He had to report to the police every week and produce his papers and things like that. And there was a lot going on for them in those days, you know. So, and he had to have, you know, lots of time off work because he'd got injured, and there was no union and there was no pay and all this. So my mum
Yeah.
was quite pressured, I would imagine, with having 3 children to feed and a husband at home for quite a long time. And so she inspired me to be
Mm.
the determined, diligent, conscientious person
That you
that
are today. Yeah.
I've turned
Yeah.
out to be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to fathom that, because we're not talking that many years ago when
No, no.
life was completely different. And, young people growing up today now, I don't think they're aware of the struggles and the hardships that people had to go through and had to put up to achieve something, to even to just put food on the plate.
Mm.
They, what do you do to relax?
I go out in nature. I'm an avid walker. I used to be a member of the Ramblers Association, and I used to go out on a Sunday with a group of people and just get out in nature. And now I live in a beautiful area. It's a tiny village on the Durham and Northumberland border, and we don't even have a shop here in this village. We've got 2 pubs. We've got no shop. So I'm surrounded by sheep and cows and calves at the moment, and lambs at the moment as well. And I
Yeah,
just love being out in nature. I love to, you know, read. I read and I walk and I just admire the scenery and just moments of stillness I really like. And I love meeting up with my friends, as I've just been talking about before we went live on camera. Just meeting up with my friends and just, you know, talking about anything and everything that you can't talk about a lot in society these days. You pushed down and not allowed to say certain things about certain people or whatever, or the way the governments are going and the
yeah,
world
crazy.
economy and all of this kind of stuff. And so
Yeah,
we really bashed that at the weekend.
yeah,
All the
yeah,
stuff that you can get out. It's lovely to be free, to be able to
yeah.
speak to people who get it and understand, you know, understand each other and understand where we're coming from. And you know, so yeah,
Because
so that's
how important, yeah, and how important that is as well to be living in a place that does sustain you and supports you, and what better way than to be close to nature. I think that's one of the big disconnects that a lot of people have made, that they're completely disconnected from nature and the importance of getting out there with the animals, with the wildlife, and just to be and to be supported by Mother Nature. It's absolutely crucial, I think, to
mm,
more people. And you brought up a lot of things there with how society is going about what we can say and what we can't say. And it's like, oh, what's happened. And the things that people have been accused of, especially if you object, especially with a lot of the wars that are going on. If you say, that war is bad, how all of a sudden that's turned around into anti-Semitic or anti-something, or anti, um, crazy situation.
mm, it is. But we've had a lot going on over the last 5 years, and you know, with the group that I've got, it's all about anxiety and
Mm,
stress and all of the outside. The thing is, a lot of people, you know, we think that our stress and anxiety is around our own internal things that are going on in our tiny microcosm of a world, you know, our family, our work, and, you know, our own financial situation, maybe. However, what I think is the outside influences, the environment that we live in, the global situation that we're living in, because it's not just a local world any longer. Years ago, when I was born, which was a long time ago now, it we had community, we had people supporting each other, helping each other. You know, if you wanted a dressmaid, there was somebody up the street who was a dressmaker, and your mum would go and they'd measure you and you'd get your little dress made, and you know, that kind of thing. Or you'd have somebody who was a hairdresser up the street and you'd take your kids there and you'd trim your fringe or whatever. So we had that lovely local kind of, but because of internet, because of travel, we've now got a global world, and we
Yeah.
hear and see far more than our mind and our emotions can handle a lot of the
Mm.
time. And it's not to say these things didn't go on in the past, they did, but we weren't fully aware of it because
Yeah.
everything now is on camera. And what that does, in my opinion, Declan, is it creates global depression.
Yeah.
It creates global stress. It's mass hypnosis.
Mm.
As a hypnotherapist, I could see that in 2020 happening to everybody, with the media basically using the press and the media to hypnotize people into believing something,
Yeah.
and then following through with that and putting people in a state of fear. And so my group is all around, not only may you be stressed in your job, you might have a difficult boss, you might have, targets to meet, you may be the only one bringing in an income, you've got a family to bring up. Apart from all of that, we've also got the corporation or the company you work in is impacted by the global situation.
Yeah.
There's another threat brought into your life. There's another anxiety brought into your life. Will I have a job tomorrow? Will this close down? What happens if the internet goes down? I work online. All the things that you can imagine that we have now to worry about. And so the work that I do with women within the group is I look at everything. What else is going on in your life? What else are you worried about in your life? Is if it was just your little world and that's a really nice, tranquil, loving, calm environment, what's going on other than having that life? You know, are you worried
That's,
about
yeah.
are you worried about a third world war? Are you worried about
Mm. You've, you've frozen up there a little bit.
it works around all of that? But yes.
Mm. Yeah, so much fear out there, so much fear out there from outside, and especially if people are watching television and listening to the news constantly. It's a minefield, and there's all these stresses. Realize that we have to realize that life is an inside job and not to be dictated by what's going on
Mm,
around us. That we can need to be sort of taking back our power, our control, and
mhm,
deciding what
mm,
type of life we want to live, and to
mm,
be aware of the stresses that are out there, but not to be reacting to them.
mm.
So it's
Yes.
greatly that you're providing some valuable service out there for everybody. For we all have, I think we're all affected by all of this global stress, and that's a great expression that I haven't heard before, which I think we'll be hearing a whole lot more about this
Mm,
global stress and about this global um these things that are going on, because the world has got a lot smaller, and it is, there's everything. Somebody does something over there and it affects us here, and
yeah.
yeah, it's a minefield.
Mm.
So Dee,
Same
is
here.
there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with, something that'll help them to deal with their stresses of today?
I would just say to people that take some time out, turn off the social media and the internet for a while, and just go inwards, and to just take some time to breathe. And for me personally, it's realizing that I am not in control of so much. The only thing I'm in control of is my reaction to it, and to actually take that step backwards and just be doing whatever I can in my own way to basically bring myself back to a place of balance with, you
Beautiful.
know what, yeah, that's really all we can do right at this
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
that's all we do. Simple and straight to the point. You've been listening to D20 Men, the Gutsy Women today. So for everybody listening, please feel free to reach out to Dee. Our links will be beneath this podcast on the in the comments. So Dee, thank you very much. You've been a joy and enlightenment to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a